Hello everyone, welcome to Aptera Owners Club. I'm sure most of you guys have seen this video that Aptera put out a few days ago about their vehicle dynamics testing, so their suspension testing. So it starts off with a lot of cool shots of the car, but the main important thing I wanted to point out in this video is that they are definitely doing the moose test. So here it is, right there. That was definitely a shot of the moose test. So let's go back and look at that. Um, the moose test, if those of you who are not familiar, comes from this. It's also known as the ISO 380 3888-2 test. And basically what they call it the moose test because it's supposed to be you pretend like there's a moose or an elk right here, and you have to do a high speed avoidance and return to your lane. And this first section is 15 meters in length. And then this section right here between these first set of cones and the second set of cones is 30 meters. And then this is 25 meters. And then this is 25 meters. And this is 15 meters, this section 5. And the one part of the way that this test is set up that kind of works in Aptera's favor is that the width of these cones is 1.1 times the vehicle width, not including the rear view mirrors. But we all know that the vehicle width of the Aptera is 88 inches, so it's very wide. So it's 1.1 times the vehicle width. So a wider vehicle gets a wider path, which makes sense because you don't want to punish a larger car by having really constricted lanes. And then you add 20.25 meters. And so that sort of helps Aptera a little bit. The way they do this, you start up at 60 kilometers per hour, which is about 37 miles per hour, and you just ramp up the speed at which you go through this thing until you either hit one of the cones, you spin out, or you flip the car. Um, and then you have to you can't touch the brakes or the accelerator during the test. You have to go through at a constant speed. And the vehicle speed has to be greater than 60 kilometers per hour or 37 miles per hour to pass the test. Some other things have said that you have to go to 43 miles per hour. So I don't know which is exactly true. But anyway, this is a very difficult test for a lot of cars. And I'm impressed that Aptera is running the test. And you can tell how much force they're putting onto this car. You can see how much lateral stress is on this rear wheel and this outside wheel. See, there's quite a bit of stress. Look at the angle of these tires. They're experiencing a lot of lateral torque, and then as they go through the second side, then you see the torque switch to this wheel and this wheel. Yeah, you can see the amount of torque that's on there, quite a bit. And then, oh yeah, this was kind of interesting. I was trying to figure this out. Maybe one of you guys knows what this is, so I'll stop on this frame. He's holding some kind of measuring device, and in parts of the video, you see him sticking this onto the tire. So I'm not sure what that is. It's like checking the temperature of the tire, or measuring the depth of the tread, or the stickiness of the tire. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe one of you guys knows what this thing he's holding in his hand is and what it's measuring. And then you can see that right here, they've got the car jacked up, and there's some kind of they have a covering of some sort on the tire, so they're taking the covering off, and then you can see that the tire's spinning there. Okay, and then here's the next section of the video where they're undergoing the moose test. And here you can see that actually you have some takeoff of the tires. Let's go back. So if we go backwards through this side, there are parts of this where the outer front wheel lifts off the ground, which I thought was a little concerning at first when I first saw it. But then after watching moose test videos of other vehicles, I realized it's pretty common, and it's not. This amount of wheel liftoff is nothing compared to a lot of other cars that undergo the moose test. Yeah, so let's see. think it's maybe towards the front of this thing. Yeah, right here. There's definitely a little bit of light between the shadow and the tire right there. So there's a little bit of takeoff. See, the tire's in the air. That's what the tire's on the ground here. And tire's off the ground here again, right here. So tire's off the ground, tire's on the ground, and then tire is off the ground again right here. So the moose test is pretty significant. Let's watch some other cars go through the moose test. This is a video from Driven Media, and you can watch. This is a Toyota Hilux, which obviously has a higher center of gravity, but you can see that it has a hard time getting through it. Obviously, it's hitting the frames. The tires lift off completely, almost flips over, and then you can see um, these are sports cars actually going through it. Let's see. Yeah, so this is a BMW and it skids out, kind of fishtails, loses traction in the rear wheels. Here is a Mazda, and you see all the tires on this side lift off and hits the wheels, hits the cones, doesn't quite make it through. It's bouncing around, so it's having a hard time making it. Here's some other ones. This is from a video called Moose Test Fails. This is a Hyundai station wagon. That's obviously failing. And this car just completely spins out. So the Moose test is a very difficult test for most vehicles. I just thought this was a funny detail. Obviously, they did not build this beta for aesthetics, but someone thought it would be fun to put in little stencils of an Aptera on the front plate of this radiator. I just thought that was kind of fun. You can see here the if you look carefully at this. This is their trailer link rear suspension. It's just basically a swing arm suspension like they have on most motorcycles. So it has a single pivot point. It's not a multi-link suspension. It seems to be working for them. I think basically what they're doing is they're going to tune the bushings and the stiffness of this coil and shock and the recoil. And I think they're tweaking that in these tests. And they're going to run another, probably they're going to run another revision of this suspension system and run through the tests again after they finalize it. They've been doing computer modeling of how they expect the suspension to work, as they mentioned in the video, and they're just trying to verify that in the real world their predictions in the computer modeling are correct. And it seems like they're pretty happy about that. And then they're going to tweak this thing based on whatever subtle changes they got on this test that they did on the raceway and to see if they can improve the performance a little bit. This was an interesting thing I noticed here. They have a computer and it's looking at these, and I'm pretty sure that this is the speed that they're going. I'm not sure what this is, the steering angle or the roll or the pitch, or maybe it's this number that's the roll and the pitch. That seems to make more sense. About 30 degrees, maybe that's what it is. This number seems to jump around a lot. So I think I'm not sure what they're measuring in this. I don't know if it's like acceleration or whatnot, but maybe one of you guys has some idea what they're doing there. Now here is a kind of a overview of the Moose test. Right, so they negotiate the Moose test pretty well, and it seems like they're running at pretty high speed. Let's look at it again. So right here, it looks like they set it up correctly. This is 15 meters. The distance from here to here is supposed to be 30, so it does look like it's about twice the distance of this 15-meter section. And Aptera is negotiating it quite well, actually. Here, I noticed that this is another thing that actually works a little bit in Aptera's favor. If you look at this part of the video, when we go back here, um, the the back end of these cars tend to fishtail in this moose test. And because the back of the Aptera is narrower, it doesn't hit the cone. So you see here, the front wheel almost hits this cone here. And then the rear wheel is fishtailing a bit here. And so if the rear tire was here, the rear tire would have definitely, if it was a four-wheel vehicle and the rear tire was behind this, it definitely would have hit this cone. But because it's a single wheel and it's narrow in the back, the cone does not get hit and it passes the moose test. Now, what we don't know is they don't tell us in this video at what speed they were running the moose test. And I'm trying to see the number here, and I can't make it out. So I'm not sure, they didn't release in the video exact numbers. So let's look at the position of this dial and the position of this dial. I think if they're using the same readouts, they're running this thing at like 50 miles per hour or 48 miles per hour, which is really good. That's really good for a moose test. If they're running the moose test at 50 miles per hour, that would be amazing. That's probably better than most sports cars. And then they end the video with this cool shot of a bunch of solar panels in the back next to the raceway, which I thought was kind of, they probably did this on purpose to kind of put the image of solar and the Aptera together. Anyway, very interesting video. I thought it was really fun to scrutinize it frame by frame. If you guys noticed anything else that we did not notice in this video, please put it in the comments so that we can all learn from it. But I think it looks really good that they're doing the moose test really, really well, which is a very difficult test for a lot of cars. And my best guess is that they're running it at 40 plus miles per hour, probably in the high 40s and maybe even the low 50 mile per hour range, which would be an amazing result for the test. Hopefully they'll release exact numbers on this thing, but I don't think they're going to release any numbers until they have the thing finalized and they're still tweaking the suspension. But overall, it looks like the suspension is working really well. And from what I see of the vehicle, it's performing quite well.